Hey guys, hope everything's going well. I just wanted to let you all know how great of a job you're doing. We're all still adjusting to this new system, online delivery, but you guys are doing such a great job, and I just wanted to let you know to keep up the great work. For today's class, we're not going to do one of the lessons, we're going to do a review. So we're going to look at three different things. We're going to look at adding fractions, subtracting fractions, and multiplying fractions. So some of you guys are still getting a little bit confused, or I've noticed in your homework that we're mixing some of them up. So when we're adding fractions, we need to make sure that both of our bottom numbers are the same. In order to add or subtract a fraction, both of the bottom numbers have to be the same. So for example, if I have the fraction 1 over 5 plus 4 over 5, right? Both of my bottom numbers are the same, which means I can add these two fractions. When we're adding a fraction, only my top numbers will change. My bottom number will stay the same, right? So this will equal, right? Bottom number will stay the same as 5. The only thing that will change is the top number, and it's going to be just a simple addition problem. 1 plus 4 is 5, so my answer will be 5 over 5. For example, if I had the fraction 1 over 5 plus 4 over 3, I cannot add these fractions in the way that they are written because the bottom numbers are not the same. Now let's review when we're subtracting fractions. So it'll be the exact same rules as when we add fractions. Both of the bottom numbers have to be the same in order to subtract the fractions. If I have 4 over 7 minus 1 over 7, right? Both of my bottom numbers are 7, right? Which means that I can solve for this problem. My bottom number, once again, will remain the same, so it will be 7. And only the top number will change, right? So it'll be a simple subtraction problem. 4 minus 1 equals 3. So my answer will be 3 over 7. The only part that is different is when we are multiplying fractions. When we are multiplying fractions, our bottom numbers do not have to be the same, and our bottom and our top numbers will change. So if I had this fraction now, 1 over 5 multiplied by 4 over 5, right? My top numbers, I will multiply them together, and my bottom numbers, I will multiply those together. 1 multiplied by 4 gives me 4. 5 multiplied by 5 gives me 25. So my answer would be 4 over 25. So once again, let's review. When we are adding or subtracting fractions, both of your bottom numbers need to be the same before we can add or subtract, and only your top number will change in your answer. Your bottom number will stay the same. When you multiply fractions, both your top and your bottom number will change, and your bottom numbers do not have to be the same. So I'm going to do one example of adding, subtracting, and multiplying fractions from your homework, and then I'm going to give you 2 more questions for each one that I would like for you to try on your own. So when we're adding fractions, one of the questions that you guys recently did for your homework was 11 over 8 plus 2. Right? We have our fraction and we have a whole number. Right? We've talked about this before, that I cannot add a fraction with a whole number. They both need to be a fraction. So what I'm going to do, I'll use a different color, is change this whole number into a fraction. Remember that every whole number is over 1. So I'm going to put the 2 over 1. Right? We're adding this fraction, so both of our bottom numbers need to be the same. Are they the same? Right? They're not. So what I'm going to do is try to have them be the same. This one is out of 8, this one's out of 1. So we're going to multiply this one by 8. So now both of the bottom numbers are over 8. Right? Whatever I do to my bottom number, I have to do to my top number. So if I multiply the bottom number by 8, I'm going to multiply that top number by 8 as well. So all I'm going to do now is rewrite this as a fraction. This fraction will stay the same. So this will give me 11 over 8, which is the fraction we had before, plus, right, 2 multiplied by 8 is 16. 1 multiplied by 8 is 8. So now all I have to do is add these fractions up. Both of the bottom numbers are the same. And we've talked about that when we add fractions, only the top number will change. So my answer will be, right, the bottom number will stay as 8. And the top number is going to be a simple 11 plus 16, which gives me 27. So my answer is 27 over 8. So what myself and Miss Nielsen will give you is 2 other fraction questions where you're adding either a fraction and a fraction or a whole number and a fraction. So remember those rules. If you have a whole number and a fraction, you're going to have to change the whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. Make sure your bottom numbers are the same. Then whatever you multiplied your bottom number by, you will multiply the top number by that same number. Then you can solve. When we are subtracting fractions, you're going to follow the exact same rules. Right? So one example from your homework was 3 minus 7 over 5. Right? I have a whole number and a fraction. So once again, I'll use a different color. I cannot subtract this fraction from this whole number, so I'm going to have to change this whole number into a fraction. How do I do that? I'll put it over 1. When I'm subtracting, my bottom numbers need to be the same. Right? This one's a 5, this one's a 1. They're not the same. So what I'm going to do is multiply the 1 by 5. Whatever I do to my bottom number, I do to my top number. So I'm going to multiply that top number by 5. Now all I'm going to do is rewrite this. Right? So 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. 1 multiplied by 5 is 5. And then I'm just going to subtract the fraction that was originally there. 7 over 5. Both of my bottom numbers are the same, which means I can subtract. In my answer, the bottom number will stay the same, so it will be 5. The only number that will change is the top number. So 15 minus 7 is 8. So my answer is 8 over 5. So once again, I have 2 more questions that I'd like you to try to solve that are also subtraction problems. Right? Your first step is going to be to change the whole number into a fraction by putting the whole number over 1. Then you're going to want to have both of the fractions have the same bottom number. Whatever you did to the bottom number, multiply that same number to the top number, and then you can solve. When we're multiplying fractions, this is going to be a lot different. Right? Now the bottom numbers don't have to be the same, and your bottom and your top number will change in this case. So one example from your homework was 5 multiplied by 9 over 9. So once again, I have my whole number 5, and I have my fraction 9 over 9. I cannot multiply a whole number with a fraction, so what I have to do is put this 5 over 1. Now, all I have to do is multiply my bottom numbers and my top numbers together. So 5 multiplied by 9 is 45. 1 multiplied by 9 is 9. So your answer is 45 over 9. I didn't have to worry about having the same bottom number because we are multiplying, not adding or subtracting. And once again, when we're multiplying fractions, your top number and your bottom number will change. So once again, I have attached 2 multiplication questions for you to practice. So what we're going to do today is a bit of a review for homework. You're going to have to do 2 questions that are adding fractions, 2 more questions that are subtracting fractions, and then 2 more questions that are multiplying fractions. If you need any help or you're struggling with this, please reach out. I can set up a Zoom meeting. I had the pleasure of having a few Zoom meetings with you guys yesterday, and they went really well. So if you have any more questions, please let me know. Other than that, you guys are doing a great job, and I hope you all have a great weekend. See you guys.